And I want to start with a simple question. Where is Doug Weiss? No, seriously, where did he go? If you've been watching Daystar TV recently, and I know a lot of you have because you've been blowing up my comments, you will have noticed something strange. Doug Weiss has completely vanished from the screen. We're not talking about taking a day off. We're not talking about a vacation. We are talking about weeks. Across every single Daystar program, Table Talk, Ministry Now, Daystar YouTube exclusives, Shorts Live, and special events, the man is nowhere to be found. Not one clip. Now let me put this into context for those just joining us, because this matters. After Susie Lamb passed away on May 7th, 2026, God rest her soul, Doug Weiss, her husband, basically disappeared from everything. His official social media handle, Dr. Doug Weiss, the page that was always active, always pushing out content, went dark. And Daystar? They quietly went into the archives and dug up an old Table Talk rerun featuring Joni herself, just to fill the airtime. Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates, because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. Think about that. They couldn't host properly without her presence. And even with Doug Weiss right there, a man who had co-hosted Ministry Now alongside Joni, the audience wasn't buying it. People weren't watching. And the network knew it. Susie Lamb built something. Her personality, her presence, her energy, that was the engine of that table. And you can't just replace that with whoever happened to marry into the family. Now let's talk about something that has been circling online for a while now. The Joshua Brown India story. Because, oh my goodness, this one needs to be unpacked. So a few weeks back, Doug Weiss sat down on Ministry Now alongside Joshua Brown. That's Rachel Lamb's husband, for those keeping score, and Doug Weiss told the audience that Joshua Brown had traveled to India to preach the gospel to 30,000 people. 30,000! He laid it on thick. Made it sound like Joshua Brown was out there like Billy Graham, shaking nations, winning souls, doing crusades across the world. And the audience went, wow, incredible. But then, and here's where it gets real, Doug Weiss disappears from the very next episode. And Joshua Brown comes back, alone, and tells his own version of what happened in India. And people? It was a completely different story. Here's what Joshua Brown actually said. He went to Hyderabad to attend an event hosted by Dr. Satish Kumar at Calvary Temple. Now, to be fair, and I want to be fair here, what Dr. Satish Kumar is doing in India is genuinely extraordinary. We're talking about 400,000 people coming through the doors of services over a weekend. 50,000 fresh meals cooked in a single day, overflow auditoriums, outdoor tents, people pouring in at 9:30 at night to secure a seat for a 4 a.m. service. That is a genuine move of God, and I don't want to diminish that. But Joshua Brown wasn't the evangelist. He was a representative. He attended. He rolled up his sleeves and helped serve meals in 100-degree heat. And good for him, genuinely. He even received a gift, an acknowledgement for coming as a partner of a major television network. That's it. There was no crusade. There were no 30,000 souls saved under Joshua Brown's preaching. And when commentator Laurelyn Tyler Thompson called them out publicly and said, post the footage of Joshua Brown preaching, since that's what you claimed he went to do, they couldn't. Because there wasn't any. Now, who told the audience that exaggerated story? Doug Weiss. When Doug Weiss is in the room, one version of the story comes out. The moment Doug Weiss leaves, a different story surfaces. That pattern, that right there, is something you need to file away and remember. Now, I want to pivot because not everything in this story is dark. Some of it is actually beautiful in a painful kind of way. On May 30th, Jonathan Lamb, the son who was fired from Daystar in November 2024 after a 15-month performance review, that many of us believe was never really about his performance, made a post. He stood at the original broadcast tower his father, Marcus Lamb, had acquired in the Dallas area, the very tower that launched Daystar into what it became. And he just gave God glory. No bitterness, no demands, no political statement. Just a man standing at the place where his father planted seeds and saying, "To God be the glory." For context, this is a man who was demoted, had his salary cut by 40%, had his wife removed from hosting, had his in-laws fired from the ministry, and was surveilled by a private investigator hired by the very network his family built. And yet, he's standing at that tower giving glory to God. That, beloved, is not weakness. That is one of the strongest things a human being can do. please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV, and Susie Lamb posted something equally powerful. She wrote about not dwelling on the pain of the past, but diving into the joy of the present. She talked about the mountains and the ocean calling. She tagged 2025 and 2018 together, bookmarking a journey. Susie doesn't post carelessly. Jonathan doesn't speak without purpose. These are intentional people. And what they are telling the world through those posts is clear. They have closed the Daystar chapter. The fight is over. Not because they lost, but because they chose peace over a battle that was taking them somewhere God never intended for them to go. And you know what? I respect that more than I can say. Jonathan has a podcast now, the Israel and Ariel podcast, named after his children. He's not building an empire. He's not staging a dramatic comeback. He's going back to who he was before the cameras and the titles, a worshiper, a minister, a father. And there is so much more power in that than in anything Daystar's boardroom could ever offer him.
So I'm here in Dallas, Texas, at the site of the first television tower that God miraculously opened a door for my dad to acquire to really launch his Christian television ministry into the next level, as it came from a small station in Montgomery, Alabama to Dallas, Texas, where things really started to grow. And it's really a miracle that they're able to get this TV tower because it was a perfect plot of land that was in between the airspace of Dallas-Fort Worth Airport and Dallas-Love Field Airport. To build a tower, you can't be in their airspace. And there's like this small plot of land on a riverbank here in the Dallas/Las Colinas area that they're able to get and build on. And this is the tower that broadcasted Daystar signal throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex from the very early days. So I just happened to come out here and take a little visit going down memory lane. Here's the tower. To God be the glory to be able to acquire that. Without it, my dad's television ministry in Dallas never would have taken off. And so it's just great to be able to come back and reflect on how good God has been over the years to open up the doors and allow the ministry to grow and to reach many souls.
But let's come back to the big elephant in the room, because the online community is not letting this go. And frankly, neither am I. Doug Weiss came into this ministry through marriage. He married Susie Lamb. That was his entry point. And he became a regular face on the network, co-hosting, counseling, positioning himself as part of the leadership fabric of Daystar. But now Joni is gone, and the questions people are asking are completely legitimate. What is Doug Weiss's legal standing at Daystar now? Was his authority there tied entirely to his marriage? Does he have any claim to the network? What was his actual financial involvement? These aren't gossip questions. These are stewardship questions. Questions that the board of Daystar has a responsibility to answer, not just to the family, but to the tens of thousands of partners and donors who have poured their money and faith into this ministry over 30 years. And then there's the matter Jonathan raised, and he raised it publicly, firmly, from a place of genuine theological conviction about whether Doug Weiss divorced his previous wife on biblical grounds. That question was never satisfactorily resolved. And for many in the Christian community, it still sits there, unanswered. Jonathan's opposition to this marriage was one of the sparks that ignited the public conflict inside the Lamb family. And many people who dismissed that objection at the time are now wondering if he wasn't seeing something the rest of us missed. Now, let me speak carefully here, because I am a Christian, and that matters to me more than the story. Daystar was built by Marcus and Joni Lamb, two people who gave their lives to broadcasting the gospel to over 200 countries. That legacy is real, that sacrifice is real, and it deserves to be honored. But a legacy is not a license. The Bible is clear. Proverbs tell us there is safety in an abundance of counsel. Galatians tells us that if someone is caught in sin, those who are servants should restore them gently. The goal is never destruction. The goal is never entertainment. The goal is restoration. And Matthew 18 gives us the framework: go to your brother privately first before you go public. That standard applies to all of us in Christian media, the YouTubers, the podcasters, the bloggers, everyone. Some of the fire burning around the Daystar story right now is righteous. It's accountability. It's truth. But some of it, I'll be honest, is just clicks and drama, and we have to know the difference. We have to govern ourselves accordingly. Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates, because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. What Daystar needs right now is not more spectacle. It needs independent, spiritually grounded leadership. It needs a board willing to ask the hard questions. It needs a culture of transparency that honors both the founder's legacy and the donors who have faithfully supported it. You cannot preach healing while refusing to be healed. You cannot broadcast grace while withholding it from your own family behind the scenes. So where does all of this leave us? Jonathan and Susie Lamb are not broken. They are free. And I believe God is writing the next chapter of their stories somewhere far more beautiful than any Daystar studio could contain. Doug Weiss is silent, and silence, as I've always said, is a language. It's telling us something. The question is whether the people at Daystar are listening, and Daystar itself, the network, the mission, the broadcast, it still has an opportunity. The calling to reach every nation with the gospel of Jesus Christ is still valid, but the vessel has got to be cleaned up. Ecclesiastes 12:14 says this, and I want to close with it because it applies to every single person in this story, including us on the outside looking in. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil, not some deeds. Every deed, every hidden thing. That's not a threat. That's a promise. And it's one we'd all do well to live under. Know God for yourself, people. Build your own personal relationship with Him. Don't outsource your faith to a television network or a preacher or a platform. Because, as we have seen in this story, some of the biggest smoke has been coming from behind the biggest pulpits. Know God for yourself. That is the safest place you will ever be. I'm your host. If this blessed you, share it, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We are not done with this story. Not even close. Until next time, stay faithful, stay rooted, and stay in the Word. God bless you.